How's it going, everyone? I am back with another video. This is going to be my divisional round recap video where I go through the four divisional games that took place and break down my thought processes to how the games went, my takeaways from them, all that good stuff. So I'll just jump straight in here. So the first game, Texans Chiefs. Oh boy. Well, this game was closer than I expected. I kind of expected the Chiefs to win fairly comfortably. Actually, I think I had a 27-17 score prediction, 24-17. I think 27-17, but still, the game was neck and neck until the fourth quarter, and even a good portion to the fourth quarter, the Chiefs were only up. They were up 8 points, so still a one possession game. This was kind of similar to how most Chiefs games played out this year. The Chiefs had the lead for yeah, literally the entire game after their opening drive. Well, they went 3-0 on their opening drive, but they got a good kickoff return, so they got a field goal out of it. But they were in the lead the whole game, but it was not pretty. The Texans offense is kind of moving the ball. It felt like the Chiefs offense isn't doing too much, but they were winning, kind of ugly, not pretty. And in the fourth quarter, they started to pull away a little bit. Defense kind of kicked it into gear. Wouldn't be a Chiefs game without some controversial penalties going their way. Two in particular, two roughing the passer calls on mid Holmes. The first one, Texans forced a 3-and-out. They were going to get the ball back, tied 3-3. Called a roughing the passer. Chiefs got a field goal out of it to go up 6-3. So that was the first bad call. Second one was Mahomes slid down. It was kind of a weird play. He was like running to the sideline and he ran to the middle, kind of cut to the middle of the field and just slid down again. Kind of a weird play. He slid down. There was like barely any contact. They called roughing the passer. It felt like the Chiefs were going to score on that drive anyway. It kind of felt like that's when they were taking control of the game. And the first one was going to be Texans getting the ball back off of a punt. So I think the first one was worse than the second one. But yeah, Chiefs getting two controversial calls. Pulled away in the fourth quarter a bit. Again, like I said, kind of a like most Chiefs games this year, pretty much. Stroud, I actually think played a good game. He got hurt his knee. He banged his knee up a bit on their opening drive, actually. Then he seemed fine most of the game for the most part. Then the last drive, he took a sack and he was like limping. He ended up coming out to kneel the ball in the game, so at least that's good. But Stroud, I actually thought played a good game. Bobby Slowick, I actually thought called a pretty good game, nice balanced game. They actually just fired him yesterday. I'm recording this Saturday. They just fired him yesterday, so that was maybe a little surprising. But again, their offense has just not been great. Kind of most of the year, honestly, especially like the middle back half of it. So maybe not too surprising, but a little bit surprising. Joe Mixon, I thought, played a good game. Stroud had a couple nice rushes in this game too, even with his banged up knee. Nico Collins, he see that stat line's like decent, but it kind of felt like he was quiet for a good portion of the game. It felt like he would get a big catch here and there, but overall, kind of just not too much going for Nico Collins. Felt like Dalton Schultz had a pretty consistent game. Xavier Hutchinson did a couple nice catches. They screwed the Texans over. The refs did. Xavier Hutchinson caught a first down. They marked it short, 3rd and 1. D'Amico Ryans probably should have challenged it, but they got a false start. I'm like, yep, here we go. But Stroud ended up scrambling, getting a first down on the play. So a decent mix for the Texans there. Their receiving core. Mahomes, I call him mid Holmes. I think he's played very mid the past 2 seasons. This and last season, I mean, not great, but I guess efficient game, kind of what we've seen all year from Mahomes. Kareem Hunt, 5.5 yards a carry, that'll work, but not a lot of carries. The Chiefs' run game since Pacheco has come back, it just seems like it has not been the same. Travis Kelce had a big game in this one. That's big. A lot of talk about him. Xavier Worthy had a couple good catches. Then besides that, Noah Gray and Kareem Hunt, the only two that caught a pass. So Xavier Worthy, literally the only wide receiver that caught a pass. Obviously, Travis Kelce's a tight end. So we're talking there about that. Um, Going to the team stats here. So, let me see if I can pull up this stat. I saw a stat that the Texans are like the first team in NFL history to lose when they hit like certain stats. Let me see if I can find it here. Sorry, give me 1 second. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find it. Um, um, hmm. Okay, I can't find the exact stat, but they were the first team to lose a game when they outgained their opponents by like 100 yards, and a couple other things. They're the first team ever to lose, which they didn't even turn the ball over. So that's interesting. You figured they lose, they would turn the ball over. Nope, not the case. Again, I think the Texans offense actually had a pretty efficient game. They didn't put up a lot of points, obviously. Fairbairn missed 4 points worth of kicks, so obviously that doesn't help. But yeah, they had more total yards, passing yards, rush yards, more yards per play. They had more first downs, more third down conversions. They had more plays, total plays. Yes, sacks allowed. That was a problem for the Texans. 8 sacks by the Chiefs. Karlaftis went crazy in this game. Penalties. Again, 2 of them were BS, but still they had more penalties than the Chiefs. They won the time possession battle, so it's like, you're looking at these stats and it's like, how the hell did the Texans lose this game? Again, I don't think the refs cost the Texans the game. I think the Chiefs would have won anyway, but it, again, greatly helped the Chiefs. And the good thing is, obviously, I'm a Patriots fan. Did we get controversial calls when we were good for the 20 years, our dynasty run? Yes. But they were spread out and not to the extent that the Chiefs are getting. The Chiefs, it feels like every game they at least get one controversial call that greatly like sways the momentum in their favor. And social media has been all over the Chiefs and the refs all week. There's so many ref memes coming out of this game. People saying the Bills are already getting called for roughing the passer leading up to the game against the Chiefs, stuff like that. I don't remember this much social media hate with the refs benefiting us when we were good. So it's good to see because the Chiefs, again, I think they're having the single luckiest season in the history of sports. So it's good to see them get some hate, but Chiefs moving on. Texans, I think pretty much everyone expected them to lose this game. So I guess good for the Chiefs moving on to the conference championship game. Just one more win, and they'll be back in the Super Bowl. God help us all if that happens. Commanders Lions. So this was talk about an upset. Most people were picking the Lions in this game. I picked the Lions. I kind of felt confident with the Lions. Most people thought the Commanders if they were gonna win this game, they were gonna have to just go in offensively, just ball their asses off. Um, Pause. That probably should have used different wording there, but you guys know what I mean. Just play their asses off. Because pretty much I think everyone expected the Lions offense to do their part, put up a good amount of points, which they did, but a lot of talk is that, the Lions offense kind of underperformed in this game, even though they put up 31, they had a bunch of yardage. Goff had 4 turnovers. Ben Johnson kind of getting some questions about was his head fully in the game. I don't think that's why they lost the game. To me, again, I'll just go through the sets here. Jane Daniels just balled out, played his ass off. Brian Robinson did a good game too. Jane Daniels, 16 carries is insane. Austin Eckler getting involved too. The Commanders' offense just could not be stopped. They got pretty much anything they wanted. The Lions' defense was awful in this game. Obviously, the injuries, that's a big talk about it. Obviously, it didn't affect Aaron Glenn. He just got the Jets job a couple days ago, the head coaching job. De'Ami Brown went off in this game. Terry McLaurin, Austin Eckler. So good balance between their guys there. McLaurin, his touchdown was insane. It was like a screen to him. He just ran all the way, got a touchdown. I think it was like 70 yards or something like that. Goff did not play a good game, obviously. He had 3 picks. He had a fumble. That's some people, Ben Johnson kind of 2 play calls people were questioning. First one, the Lions were up 7-3. They were moving the ball. Looked like, they were about to take control of the game, go up 14-3. 3rd and 1. I think it was at like the Commander 30 or 20, something like that, and they went empty, and they ended up getting the ball out of Goff's hands and recovering it. So that's kind of questionable. Maybe Ben Johnson's thinking the reverse. The Lions usually like 3rd and medium. They run it, try to get some yardage, set up 4th and short, and they'll go for it. 3rd and 1, maybe think opposite, take a deep shot. You don't get it. It's 4th and 1. Just run up the middle, do a run, short pass, something like that. But still, kind of a questionable play call. The other one was Jameson Williams. They were down 10 late. The way their defense is playing, technically you can get a field goal and it'll be a one-score game. You kind of felt that they needed to score a touchdown or they were in serious jeopardy of losing their season. They ran a trick play. Jameson Williams forced a pass. It got picked off. And that's kind of when I think you felt, okay, the Commanders are probably going to win. The Lions are kind of in deep trouble here. So some questionable play calling there. Um, yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs had a. This is a problem for the Lions. Another thing, Ben Johnson, this game, people are talking about. They were never down. They were only down 2 scores, or well, they were down 3 scores. It was super late, but kind of felt like they went maybe a bit too passive. Jahmyr Gibbs was going absolutely off in this game. I think they should have handed it off to him more. Jameson Williams, Goff got hurt on a he threw a pick six, and Teddy Bridgewater actually came in the game. He only attempted to pass, but Jameson Williams in a trick play got a touchdown on that drive. Yeah, the Lions open drive, they didn't have Gibbs in at all, and Montgomery was starting. They went 3-0. The next drive, they had Gibbs in there. They go right down the field. And same with the following drive that resulted in the empty set strip sack on Goff. Um, so yeah, Amon-Ra had a good game. Jahmyr Gibbs had a good game. Laporta had an insane touchdown catch, one-handed it. Khalif Raymond, a couple catches. A decent balance there. They were obviously pass heavy most of the game, trailing, especially late. So, kind of expect the passing and receiving yardage to be up a bit for the Lions there. Look at the team stats here. Again, I think these stats are kind of pretty telling of how the game went. You look at these stats, the Lions had more total passing, rushing, and yards per play than the Commanders. They had more first downs, 30. Oh my God, 27 first downs. The Lions had 30. That's insane. Neither team was very good on 3rd down, though. 4th down, the Lions 2-2, 3-4 for the Commanders. That's another thing the Commanders just going for it on every 4th down this postseason. Penalties, good game from both teams, honestly. Time session, Commanders won by about 8 minutes if you round up there. But yeah, here's the problem: 5 turnovers for the Lions. 3 of them from Goff. 2 of them were in the end zone. You had that fumble I mentioned on the empty set, and he had the pick six, and then he had one right at the end of the game. The pick six, the strip sack from the empty set, and one at the goal line at the end of the half. And oh yeah, the other one was from Jameson Williams and the trick play I was talking about. The turnovers absolutely killed the Lions. Kind of similar story to the Ravens Bills, which I'll talk about, but just the turnovers absolutely killed the Lions. That's kind of the story of this game. Lions, I think everyone feels to them. A lot of people were expecting them to win this game. Some people get them out picking them to win the Super Bowl. If their defense was healthy, I honestly think I definitely think they probably would have won at least this game. And I don't know, would they beaten Philly the way Philly's looking? Maybe. I honestly could see it playing out similar to how Lions Vikings played out. Maybe that's a bit bold. I don't know though. Would have had to think about that more. If they were healthy, I think they would have had a strong chance at least making it to the Super Bowl, maybe winning it. Those injuries just killed them defensively. And offense had to be near perfect with all the defensive injuries, and they clearly were not. They had 5 turnovers? Yeah, 5 total turnovers. The Commanders had none. That's probably the main reason as to why the Commanders won this game. So, everyone's kind of feeling for the Lions a bit. But Washington, what a season. They're in year 1 of a rebuild, rookie quarterback, Dan Quinn. A lot of people questioning the hire. And Washington is in the NFC Championship game. They're 1 win away from the Super Bowl. Who would have thought at the beginning of the season? Certainly not me. I think I had the Commanders at 5 or 6 wins. So credit to the Commanders. Lions, tough loss. Tough loss. Rams Eagles. This was another interesting game. This was kind of a coin flip game for me going into it. I picked the Eagles, and the Eagles should be thanking Mother Nature for the snow. And yes, it's home field advantage, but I think the only reason they won this game is because of the snow. To me, the Rams, I don't know if I don't think, I don't want to say outplayed them, but to me, the Eagles were a bit fortunate they won the game. The Rams had numerous drops. They had Kyron Williams fumbled the ball right when they had momentum. Um, I think so. The conditions, just kind of a sloppy game from the Rams. Obviously, an LA team play indoors in LA, not used to the snow like Philly is. Stafford, I actually think played a pretty good game. Would like to see maybe a bit better of a completion percentage. Some retirement talk going around about Stafford. I hope he doesn't retire. He can still ball. I think he had a really good year. Kyron Williams, I do think had a good game. He had that fumble though I mentioned. Puka Nacua had a good game. He had an insane grab on the sideline late. Demarcus Robinson had a good game. Cooper Kupp, good game. Tyler Higbee, good game. So yeah, pretty good balance from all their guys there. Hurts, I've been calling a lot of talk about Hurts. People ripping on him, saying he's a game manager. I have not been a big Hurts guy since he's been in the league. I've called him J Mid Hurts. To me, Jalen Hurts just cannot consistently pass to win the game. Like, if you make Hurts pass to win the game consistently, it's going to be difficult for the Eagles to do so, I think. Not never been a big Hurts guy, and he was just a game manager in this one. He just handed the ball off most plays. He started off hot. He had a nice scramble to on their opening drive to get a touchdown, and Elliott missed the extra point. He's been a bit off this year. But yeah, Barkley went berserk in this game. Had a couple. He had two breakaway runs. Obviously, he's absolutely has torched the Rams defense both games they played. But yeah, he went berserk in this game. And yeah, those two touchdown runs obviously killed the Rams. And I know I'm going to say, besides those two runs, I actually think they contained Barkley well for the most part. Obviously, I can't just take away those two runs. But yeah, Barkley been the X factor for the Eagles, this season and in these two games. Hurts got hurt in this game. Pardon the pun there. He barely attempted any passes out of it. The only passes he attempted were basically bootleg passes that, very conservative. Someone's open 5 yards in front of him. Passes like that. He took a bad safety. He did not look fully right. So some questions about his health going into the game. Dallas Goedert had a pretty good game. Besides that, not too much in the receiving core, really. AJ Brown kind of dropped the catchable pass. It was a little behind him, I think, but he dropped the catchable pass that was great. I think they would have been first and goal. I think it was at the end of the first half, if I remember right. You look at the stats here, pretty telling of how the game went. Rams had more total yards. They had more passing yards. I mean, Eagles netted 65 passing yards in the game and won. Obviously, rushing yards, the big difference. 5.7 yards per play for both teams. The Rams had two more first downs. They both had 2 or 6 third down conversions. They both had a fourth down conversion. The Rams had 9 more plays. Yeah, the Rams defense played a good game. Jared Verse talking about the Eagles fans, uh, saying he hates them, things like that. He had a pretty good game himself. They sacked Hurts 7 times. Penalties good for both teams, nearly dead even time possession. Again, very close in a lot of these stats. The big difference is the fumbles. The Kyron Williams lost one, and I'm blanking on who lost the other one. But late in the game, so the Rams got the safety. They were down one. It's like, oh my God, they might win the game here. Kyron Williams turned it over with a fumble. The Rams defense ended up holding the Eagles to a field goal. They had a 4th and 1. They were going to do tush push. They got a false start. Philly did. But Barkley ended up breaking a big run late with I think it was like 4.5 minutes left. They were up 2 touchdowns. It's like, all right, yep, that's probably the game. The Rams went right down the field with their hurry up offense passing like instantly. They scored like 2.5 minutes left. They got the ball back. Stafford and company went right down the field. Nacua caught an insane catch on the sideline I mentioned earlier, and it's like, oh my God, the Rams are actually going to steal this game. And then they had a 3rd and 2, and Jalen Carter comes up the middle nearly unblocked and sacks Stafford. It's like, yep, well, you might want to block Jalen Carter. If you don't, that's going to cause some problems for you. And then 4th and 11, Stafford airmailed it out of bounds. There probably would have been a flag if it was going to be more catchable, but he airmailed it out of bounds, and the Eagles won from there. Philly has not been very impressive in their 2 postseason games. They've won both of them, which is what matters most, obviously, but they've not been very impressive in their 2 postseason games. So, they're going into the NFC Championship game against a red-hot Commanders team. The Commanders have certainly looked better than the Philly has, so it's like is Philly going to play like they have been, or are they going to turn it up a little bit? But the Rams, good season for them. Again, I hope Stafford doesn't retire. That's probably going to be the big question around them for a bit in the off season. But yeah, Rams good season. Kind of sorry, I'm looking at my phone here. But yeah, Rams good season. Um, sorry, I'm repeating myself. I'm reading a notification I got. Okay, sorry, getting my head back in the game here. Rams good season. Um, tough loss in this one. I think most people were expecting Philly to win. Rams Commanders would have been interesting. The Rams very much could have won that game, gone on to the Super Bowl. And obviously, if they had played the Chiefs, I think the Chiefs definitely would have won. Who knows, though? But if they had played the Bills, they beat the Bills earlier in the year. And obviously, you don't want to base it off too much of the regular season matchup. But still, they proved they're capable of beating the Bills. So they could have very much, it's not too unrealistic to argue they would have won the Super Bowl if they won this game. But they didn't. Tough loss to them. Philly moving on to the NFC Championship game. The last game, Ravens Bills. Oh boy. To me, the Ravens thoroughly outplayed the Bills this game and they beat themselves. And I don't mean to discredit the Bills. They earned the game, they won it, but they got very fortunate in this game. The Ravens just beat themselves. 3 turnovers. So I'm going to go through the stats real quick here. Lamar, a lot of talk about him in this game. I actually think Lamar played a really good game. The pick was not a really good game, maybe, but a pretty good game. Passing, he played a really good game. The pick was bad. There was no one in the area except the Bill who picked it off. I'm blanking on who exactly it was. Derrick Henry had a pretty good game. They should have used him more, I think. I'll talk about that in a bit. Justice Hill had a really good game too. Lamar had a couple more rushes, or a couple nice rushes. Should have ran it more. They didn't run any keepers to them. Some questionable coaching there. Isaiah Likely had a good game. Bateman had a good game. Caught the opening touchdown. Andrews, obviously a lot of talk about him. He had a fumble and the dropped the 2-point conversion. So yeah, nice balance between their top guys there. Not too much outside of it. Obviously, they had no. Bateman got hurt their last drive, if I remember right, and then they had no Zay Flowers going into the game. Josh Allen really did not do too much in this game, but I guess he had a good game passing from the very limited, you know, well, he had 22 attempts, but a lot of them were very short. So he did what he had to do. I guess a solid game for Josh Allen, protected the ball at least. James Cook had a good game, even though he had about 3.9 yards per rush. I think James Cook played pretty good. Just a weird game for the Bills offense. They felt very conservative, just some very conservative play calling, it felt like, from the Bills offense in this game. Ty Johnson had a pretty good game too. Ray Davis had a couple nice runs too. He had a touchdown also. Josh Allen had 2 rushing touchdowns. Khalil Shakir, he had a good game. Then, very little outside of Khalil Shakir from the Bills receivers there. So this is what I'm talking about here. If you look at the team stats, the Ravens had more total passing, rushing, and yards per play by a good margin in yards per play. And they had more, well, they only had 3 more first downs. They had a 70% third down conversion rate this game. Bills actually had 2 more plays. Penalties, 5 for 43, not awful, but your opponent only has 1. That might be a bit of an issue. Again, nearly dead even in time possession, sort of. The turnovers just absolutely killed the Ravens. Lamar, the fumble he had, that was bad. That was bad. So Lamar's 2 turnovers are bad. The one to Mark Andrews obviously wasn't his fault. But, Lamar, they're down 8 at the end of the game. The defense forces a clutch stop. And, it was 3rd and goal. They ran it with Allen. It looked like Allen was going to pitch it back, but he held on to it. They force a field goal. They're down 8. Lamar goes like 80, 90, I think 90 yards around there to, get the touchdown, go for the 2-point conversion, tie the game. Playoff legacy drive there. All the playoff questions surrounding Lamar. He leads a clutch touchdown drive. Then he hits Mark Andrews right in the hands, and he drops it. I will say, even if Mark Andrews catches that, they tie it at 27 apiece, I think the Bills still would have won the game. There was like a minute and a half left, somewhere around there, and I think the Bills probably would have at least gone into field goal range to win the game. But who knows? Ravens defense really kind of clamped down in the second half. They only allowed 6 points from the Bills in total. Ravens down 21-10 at the half. The third quarter, they dominated pretty much. Again, I mentioned some questionable coaching. The first 2-point conversion that they went for, they failed. They absolutely gashed the Bills and Derrick Henry, just bulldozing everyone in the run game. And so Derrick Henry scores the touchdown. So not only do you not hand it off, you pass it. And this has been kind of a questionable thing with the Ravens in the past. You don't hand it off. You motion Derrick Henry out. So and Lamar is back there in an empty set. So you know it's either a draw with Lamar or it's a pass. So Derrick Henry is not getting the ball on a handoff. And I think it was likely it was actually open, but it got batted down. So it's easy to second guess things when they don't work. But I also mentioned no keepers with Lamar, no design runs. Why is that happening? They probably should have used Derrick Henry a bit more. It felt like at first at the start of the game, the Bills were just selling out to stop the run, make Lamar pass, and they were. And the Ravens were having a good amount of success, but again, they were just beating themselves. Two of the turnovers were in the first half. They're on 21-10. Feel like the Bills' offense isn't doing too much. They kind of got bailed out with a PI call, which if anything, it felt like OPI to me. But defense really settled in that second half. The Ravens just beat themselves. Kind of a story that's been kind of the Ravens theme this season. I picked the Ravens to win it all, maybe a little bold. I actually felt fairly decent with them in this game with this pick. I felt kind of confident. And again, they just kind of beat themselves, it felt like. And again, don't want to discredit the Bills, but it felt like the Ravens beat themselves more than the Bills beat them. To me, Ravens should be in the AFC Championship game, but we're going to have to all pray that the Bills can beat the Chiefs and pull off the upset to prevent us from another Chiefs Super Bowl. God help us all, Bills and Josh Allen. So I was gonna say something else. Yeah. So playoff coaching. So now last year, obviously Todd Monken only called 6 design runs to running backs. The rest were Lamar just improvising on scrambles, not keepers or anything like that. I think that was the number, if I remember right, 6. By far the fewest all year. They were obviously a run first team last year, got away from their identity. It cost them. Not to the extent this game. They ran it more, obviously, but again, they get away from some things that were working this game. Lamar Keeper's been working all year, and especially last week against the Steelers. Didn't call any of this game. Derrick Henry bulldozed them down the field. You don't give him the ball in the first 2-point conversion. Stuff like that just absolutely, kills the Ravens. Kind of feels like year after year now in the Lamar era in the postseason. So Ravens, tough loss, gut-wrenching loss, but Bills moving on to the AFC Championship game. Yeah, those are the 4 divisional round games that took place. So we got Chiefs, Bills, and Bills at Chiefs, and then we have Commanders at Eagles. So the 2 conference championship games. Who's going to the Super Bowl? I'm actually going to record my predictions of those games right after I'm done recording this video. So be on the lookout for that. But yeah, pretty good divisional weekend. Ravens, Bills, Rams, Eagles. The Sunday games were closer score-wise than the Saturday games. Saturday, Texans, Chiefs was close for a while. It was close most of the game, Commanders, Lions, but Commanders, when they went up 3 scores late, you kind of... Well, actually, they were up 3 scores late at one point. Lions cut it 14, and they missed the field goal. It stayed at 14. Goff threw the pick at the end zone late there. But still, that was a good game. Texans Chiefs, not the most appealing, but it was a fairly close, good game. I still think Rams Eagles good, Ravens Bills good. So I think a pretty good divisional weekend. Yeah, hopefully I'll end the video here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, the divisional rounds of your teams still in it. Unless you're the Chiefs, no offense. Good luck. God, I hate the Chiefs. Hopefully you guys did good with betting, your picks, all that good stuff. I will end the video here. Thank you guys for tuning in. Have a good one. Take it easy, guys.